Okay, what this video is going to be about is I have my Comet P40 gas roof pump, and it's a GX200 engine, and I have the fuel tank here. It's a 1 gallon fuel tank, and it might last about 3 hours or so. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a remote fuel tank setup. So basically I'm going to do a tank delete, and I'm going to install a pulse pump to run off my 22 gallon fuel tank right here. So here are the parts that I got. So I got some fuel line. Okay, I have a Briggs pump, fuel shutoff valve, and a T-fitting. And I also have a cap that I'm going to use to plug this hose up. This hose goes into the actual valve cover, and that's what I'm going to use for my vacuum pulse to activate the actual pump itself. So if you see there, I take that off. I'm going to plug it, and I'm going to use this 1/4 inch bulkhead fitting. I'm going to cut one end off, but this is going to go inside that hole, and I'll seal it up, and I'll attach a 1/4 inch tube or hose to it, and that'll activate the pump itself. I'll have a T-fitting here. So I already have 2 lines coming off of that connector there for both of my machines. I'm going to run a piece of hose with a T-fitting here and a shutoff valve. So I'll put the shutoff valve in line here, so that way if I'm not using the P40, the shutoff valve will go to the P40, so that way when the machine is running, it doesn't pull all the fuel all the way out of the line going to the P40. So all the fuel will still remain into the hose itself. Then when I want to use the actual P40, I'll just turn the valve back on, and we'll be good to go. All it has to do is just siphon from here down into the tank. So just stand by. What I have to do is, I've already drained all the fuel out of the tank itself. That was one of the first things I had to do. So it's pretty empty. And I'll remove the fuel tank and install my vacuum pulse adapter for the pump, and then you can mount the pump basically anywhere. So what you're gonna have is, you got vacuum in and out. So vacuum will go to the valve cover. In will come from off the fuel tank, and then out will go down into where the engine's at. So just stand by, and once I get it set up, then I'll continue further. Alright, so this is part 2. This is the after video of doing a remote fuel setup for the Comet P40. Sorry I don't edit. I suck at editing. You just get what you get. So here's the finished product. Okay, so what I did was, there is a vacuum hose. There's a tube right. It's kind of hard to see it. You can see the hose that normally right here where my finger is. Okay, I got a cap plug right here and capped it off, because that hose would normally just go inside of here. And what I did was threaded a 1/4 inch male to 1/4 inch barb. Looks like this. Okay, got one of these fittings right here, and was able to thread that in after I took a step bit, and all I did was just slightly open it up a little bit by tapping into there, just enough to where I had to use a 9/16 to start screwing that in, put some thread tape over it and snugged it up, and that worked out really well. Okay, from there, just got a piece of fuel line, routed it to the pulse side of the fuel pump, and then when I took the fuel tank off, by the way, fuel tank here, it's just sitting upside down. You get 2 nuts, you have a bolt there, and then you also have a bolt right here, which I reused because I took a piece of metal plate and made a base. So all I did was just bolted it down, bolted it in there. You can see here, just bolted it, and I just folded it over on both sides. Bolt there and a bolt there. Okay, once I bolted it, I just folded it over and got a Dremel, cut a slot, drilled a hole, put a plate, put the bolt that was already there, and it's nice and steady. 2 self tappers for the fuel pump, and so the hose that goes into the carburetor. Let's see if I can. Hold on a second here. I don't know if I can see it or not. I'm trying to get in here. You can see the hose right there. I got a fitting right there. Okay, and I just wrapped it up with some hose just to protect it from the heat. It goes into the outlet side of the pump, and then the rest is 12-foot fuel line going all the way over to my fuel tank. Okay, and from here I just put a T connector here going down to my other machine, teeing off, going to a fuel shutoff valve, going to a fuel filter. Now when I'm not using a P40, I'll just turn this off, so that way if I use my other machine, it doesn't suck all the fuel out of this line and I don't have to prime it. Then when I need to use it, turn it back on, and I can go ahead and start running it. Okay, so we got the outlet to the carburetor, the pulse side, which is the vacuum, and then the suction side of the pump. And now you can just leave the fuel on because you're not going to flood the carburetor. So here's what we got. Choke it real quick. There you go. Just got it on low idle, just so that way the hose don't get away from me. Yep, running off the fuel tank. Alright, so that's what it is. So no more having to worry about filling up the fuel tank anymore. All I have to do is worry about filling is my normal fuel tank for my pressure washer, and I'm good to go. Shut that off, and we are good. And got fuel. You see, you got fuel in there. I know this might not be for everybody, but Leon John sells a kit. It's like $100 and something because it comes with a metal mounting plate, but I don't care. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to work, and it works. Yeah, I need to paint this, or I could paint it and then make it look a little bit prettier, but who cares? So that's what I got here. So got a 1/4 inch male to barb tapped into the side of the valve cover, and then goes into the pulse side of the pump. The output goes into the carburetor underneath where the fuel tank used to fuel tank used to go, and then this goes to my fuel tank. So there you go.